Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater. And you know what we're learning today? Alongside seeing the fantastic teaser trailer for Rise of Skywalker, or The Rise of Skywalker, which is going to take me a little bit of time to get used to saying, so to speak. But The Rise of Skywalker, we're learning more about the future of Star Wars. In fact, we're learning more about the future in regards to the next 10 years and what it necessarily means. So I wanted to take a look at a couple different topics right here, as we can see on the, there we go, the sidebar. I'm kind of pulling a little bit of a Grace Randolph. I really like her format, so I'm just letting you guys know on that one. And I wanted to talk a bit about the first thing. So first, what we learned yesterday from Bob Iger was that the Star Wars movies are currently going to be on hold or on hiatus following the release of Episode 9. And they originally wanted to put out at least one movie a year, if not two or three, to combat Marvel. They wanted they saw the Marvel lineup. They saw the method. They saw the success. I mean, hell, a mediocre movie like Captain Marvel pulled in $1 billion. Why couldn't Solo? Which is a very valid and honest question. Why couldn't Solo make the kind of money Captain Marvel made when it was a far better film? Well, there's a lot of elements that go into that, and I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of everything, but what it really does boil down to here is timing, and the fact that the movie that preceded Captain Marvel was a middle-of-the-road film and not 6 weeks away from the release of the biggest thing that they've ever done. Whereas Solo came out 6 months after the release of the most divisive movie in the franchise, and that's pretty much one of the things I think that really killed it. Because for all the people out there who claim that because Star Wars The Last Jedi made $1.3 billion, that Solo was going to do really well also, why weren't they in the theater seeing the movie? That's my question. That's my question. But we do know that the movies are going to be on hold, and they're going to be going back and reassessing a couple things. But because the movies are on hold, at least while they plot out the future, which we'll be talking about, the future for Star Wars for the foreseeable future, I'm not trying to consistently or continuously say future, but that word keeps being used, is all going to be Disney Plus. And that's been the plan, I believe, for a while. And it makes sense. Following the fallout over The Last Jedi, I believe that Disney recalibrated how it wanted to go about trying to sell these properties to people. They want Disney Plus to be a success. They need Disney Plus to be a success. Bob Iger is banking almost a large majority of his legacy on Disney Plus being a success. You might think to yourself, no. Disney Plus is not the legacy. It's the Fox purchase. That's part of it. The Fox purchase is part of it, but Disney Plus is the innovative aspect of it. Disney Plus is what's going to keep shareholders and investors lined with cash for decades to come, especially as we get into a rocky situation involving the box office, where movies like Dumbo come out, do okay, but fall by the wayside the next week, where Aladdin even might run into the same problem. Disney's live action division doesn't do as well as its counterparts. It doesn't do as well as other divisions within the company. Marvel, hell, Star Wars, the animated department, those all do better than the Disney live action, which is one of the reasons why they want to continuously push those movies over to Disney Plus. And coming out at only $7 a month or $70 for the year, shit, that's a good deal. Get in while you can. It won't stay there for long. But looking at what they're going to be doing for Star Wars just right off the bat, The Mandalorian, day one. The first episode drops day one. Then it's going to be week to week after that for 10 weeks while they finish out the rest of the year. The Mandalorian is going to basically tie up or wrap up right after The Rise of Skywalker comes out, right after Episode 9 comes out. We're going to be in peak Star Wars. And not only television or streaming, but movies. So a lot of people are going to be rushing to see it then. A lot of people are going to be talking about Star Wars then. It's going to be hot on there. They're already shooting the Cassian Andor series right now, which is probably going to pull a little bit like what DCEU is doing. And they're going to keep a continuous rotation of shows that just kind of start when one ends. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that the Cassian Andor show is going to pop up immediately following The Mandalorian, but it's going to be like maybe a month later. And they're going to keep that going. They're just going to keep those Star Wars shows coming out. I mean, look at what they're doing with Marvel. Christ, look at what they're doing with Marvel. That's insane to me. That's just insane how they're going to handle the Marvel situation. But right now, the future of Star Wars is going to be on Disney Plus. And that's going to hold everyone over for the next couple of years. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? They do the Clone Wars, they do the Cassian Andor series, they do the Mandalorian. And by the time we get to the next movie, Cassian Andor is going to be on season 2 or season 3. The same with the Mandalorian or whatever other show they finally drop. Star Wars Detours is probably going to make its way out, considering that Disney did renew the trademark for that. And we know how many episodes of that have already been completed. I want to say around 30 have already been completed, with 64 more scripts already written, and I think the audio has been recorded for them. So it's like there's already a lot of content Disney can put out there on Disney Plus in order to hit that particular point. So in that world, yeah, they're doing pretty good. But even then, looking over at the future of Star Wars, based off of what Kathleen Kennedy has said, she is clearly backing Iger's play in regards to slowing down on these movies coming out, even though she runs her own studio. Even though she runs her own studio and she can greenlight and cancel what she wants pretty much, she's still taking a cue from him, because at this point she kind of has to. The current rumor mill is that she's there almost in name only, more like, hey, you just kind of hold on to the brand, make it work to the best of your ability, and we're going to market it for you. Because keep in mind that Disney Plus wants like 95% awareness, and they're going to be using Star Wars as a way to sell it. And especially at that $70 price point for 1 year, people are going to buy it up en masse. That's going to be there. But Kathleen Kennedy is now talking about the next 10 years of the franchise. She's looking at the next 10 years of these movies. And that, of course, is what she's going to be discussing with D.B. Weiss and David Benioff and Rian Johnson in a summit next month. So they're going to be meeting in May to discuss and outline the next 10 years of Star Wars movies, right? The next 10 years. So even though that she says here that the Skywalker saga ends with episode 9, she says, I'm sitting down with Dan Weiss and David Benioff and Rian Johnson. We're all sitting down to talk about where do we go next. We've all had conversations about what possibilities might be, but now we're locking it down. I totally am on board with the Game of Thrones guys coming on board. I have been ever since the beginning. I think that they're fantastic storytellers, but I also really wonder how they're going to handle it in a film world. Whereas Rian Johnson, I don't want him anywhere near this unless he has someone holding his hand who also co-writes the screenplays and has an avid love of Star Wars. I don't need somebody subverting expectations any further. I just want coherent plots. And the plot line of The Last Jedi wasn't super coherent. A lot of problems there, a lot of plot holes, a lot of whys. But I'm wondering if they're going to have enough time to develop the script and to develop this trilogy, and that it then in and of itself, it will be locked down. So who knows? Who knows? But she says that she's sitting down with them next month to discuss it. So when it comes to D.B. Weiss and David Benioff here, we know Game of Thrones is in like a couple days. And that's going to kick off the last 6 episodes ever of this original flagship series. So once they're done with that, which will be mid-May, then they're going to have their calendar free up. They're going to be able to start working on Star Wars before they're coaxed back over to HBO, which according to the head of HBO is already on the docket. Like he's just basically letting them go play for a while. It's like, oh, you guys want to take a break from Westeros and then go play in a galaxy far, far away. By all means, have a little bit of fun, but we're going to bring you back and chain you to the desk, and you're going to be telling that Confederate show. I don't even think that's ever going to make it out of development, to be honest with you. I think that's going to die, but whatever they're planning for Star Wars should be pretty interesting. And I'm hoping that the Knights of the Old Republic, which is what's currently rumored, is where they plan on going with it. Then you look at someone like Rian Johnson. And I have a theory about the Rian Johnson situation. Now, she's got him locked into 3 films right now, a trilogy right now, and they might be still working on that. Now she's pimping him out here, but when it comes to Star Wars Celebration, there's not a lot of Rian Johnson love. There's not a lot of Rian Johnson appreciation. There's not a lot of Rian Johnson at all. If you go back and watch the episode 9 panel from this morning, The Last Jedi was mentioned one time. It was mentioned one time, and Rian Johnson was mentioned one time. And that was only for his casting of Kelly Marie Tran, who apparently JJ found something to do with her character that's not fundamentally annoying and destructive to the plot in the next movie. So Rian Johnson wasn't getting a lot of love at Star Wars Celebration. Not at all. He's not getting any kind of love. No one's talking about him, which is weird considering the fact that he directed the last movie, Divisive or Not. He's still writing and directing the first film of a trilogy, and he's still apparently actively involved in these products. You figure that because he's involved in these movies, that he would be a higher priority of talking points. People would be going, oh, why isn't Rian Johnson here? Now, we know he's finishing up Knives Out. That comes out this year. Fine. But you figure he would still be there in some capacity. The fact that he's not, the fact that he's being very downplayed outside of maybe a couple sound bites and a brief reference on the episode 9 panel, not even like a thanks to Rian Johnson for the great job on The Last Jedi. What they did at the panel was they trolled everyone by having a fake title, which was The Last Jedi 2. That was how they were trolling some people before the panel began, which I actually thought was pretty funny, to be honest with you. So they're aware, clearly aware, that Rian Johnson is persona non grata when it comes to Star Wars, when it comes to Star Wars fans. Here you have this massive celebration for Star Wars fans to go get their freak on while in Star Wars LARPing territory, and he's not being mentioned. So to me, that says that even though this particular series is going to go to Summit to discuss where to go with it, the likelihood of it ever actually coming to fruition, it's not going to be high in the docket. It's not going to be the first one. The first one clearly is going to be what Game of Thrones guys do. That's going to be the first one. Bob Iger has talked about them multiple times without mentioning Rian Johnson. Kathleen Kennedy brings them up first and then mentions Rian Johnson. They're the ones that are going to be the big players. And the reason why I don't even know if Rian Johnson's movies are going to get made, I mean, arguably the first movie probably will get made if I had to really guess. But the reason why I say that is because Kathleen Kennedy only signed on for 3 more years. 2021 is when her contract is up, or 2020 is when her contract is up. No, 2021. Sorry, I keep forgetting what year it is. But she signed up. She re-signed for 3 years in the fall of 2018. It's been over 6 months since she re-signed, so we only have 2.5 years left. We still have another half year, or 8-9 months until we get to see episode 9, and then they're going on a hiatus from there. She's going to put movies into development before her time is over at Lucasfilm, because I don't think she's going to re-sign in 2021. I think she's going to be done. And then whatever movies aren't done yet are going to ultimately fall by the wayside. And I think Rian Johnson's movies are going to be pushed. They're going to be talked about. But even if these movies don't get made and they go on a hiatus, the hiatus probably is going to be around 2 years, I would say. About 2 years. So 2019 to 2021, probably nothing on Christmas until 2021. And by the time she's already on her way out the door, or already have left, is when the next film is going to come out. If even then, it could be summer 2022. We literally have no idea. But by the time the DB Weiss movie comes out, if Rian Johnson's film is not in production, shooting by the time that movie comes out, being prepped for the next year release, it's not coming at all, because whoever comes in next is not going to want to deal with this. Kathleen Kennedy, according to rumors, only took this job again because nobody else wanted to do it. And if you really think about it, that makes a lot of sense, because she's not the type of person that can run a franchise. I think she can run a studio. I think she should focus on running the studio and bring in a person to oversee Star Wars, and then things would be a lot better off. But she's not doing that. She's taking this on herself, and I don't know if that's an Iger initiative or anything else. But the way I currently view it is this is where it's at. And I would argue that if we don't hear anything out of Rian Johnson's movies by mid 2020, early 2021, maybe late 2020, or 2021, somewhere in there, about them going into production, then the likelihood of them happening is probably pretty minimal. But I think they're only saying that right now to keep up appearances. I think she probably has every intention to maybe try to get the first one out the gate. But at the same time, if they're going on a hiatus and they're not pushing his movie out first, because keep in mind, they announced his movie before the release of The Last Jedi, which was roughly 17 months ago. And this is the first real update from her that we're hearing. Not from him. He said it twice now, but this is her first update in 17 months. That should tell you something right there. But of course, we're going to have to wait and see. So I leave it to you, your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.